We finally have done it. We're at the last of these Indiana Jones prequel novels. This is called Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Sphinx by Max McCoy. Now, this opens with Indiana Jones discovering the first emperor of of China's tomb, and he ends up being captured by the Japanese military, and they proceed to torture him, although he ends up escaping and putting out one of the eyes of our main antagonist, and they proceed to chase him through the streets where he runs into a mother-daughter magician duo, and they end up fleeing China, and they go on a quest to find this woman's husband, the mother's husband, and they're going to go to the Sphinx to find this book that has every person who has ever lived's entire story written. Also, they may or may not get the Staff of Ra, which is also the Staff of Kings. And also, the Crystal Skull thing gets resolved. So, what did I think of Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Sphinx? I love it. I love this book, but it is a mess. It is an absolute mess. And it's not really messy until you get to the end, but also this is the end of people caring about continuity with Indiana Jones. This was the end for the 90s Indiana Jones run. Things were done. The we had in sure we had Infernal Machine, but that was really it by this point. The Dark Horse stuff had just about wrapped up. As I believe, this is like the late 90s when this one came out. Yeah, 99. So Phantom Menace is here. Star Wars is in full force. And Lucasfilm, because Star Wars was more lucrative, they went with Star Wars. It's as much as us Indiana Jones fans hate it, Star Wars made more money, so it made more sense in a business standpoint to continue the Star Wars expanded universe and not the Indiana Jones expanded adventures. So this is like right into the dark times to be an Indiana Jones fan, right? Where we're not getting really anything. And so there's things were allowed in this that would be later contradicted. For instance, the first emperor of Japan's tomb. You, as I recall, you end up in it in Emperor's Tomb and is different. Video games are always secondary canon, so you can explain that away that way. But the Staff of Ra being in this, and it is the same as Noah's staff, that directly contradicts Staff of Kings. I don't know how to explain that. It's the one continuity thing I don't really get. Um, the ashes of Narachi are brought up in this, and that Lao She wants Indy to do the job. It's done in such a way that it doesn't necessarily mean that Indy's going to take that job right away, because we also, in that same scene, it's near the end of the book, we also get a reference that Barnett's college wants Indy. It has offered Indy a job, and Indy might take it. That we know that won't happen for another few years, because we know that he won't take that job till 37 when, as the new game talks about, he's fired from Princeton. So he'll take Barnett's, that's so weird. That's always weirded me out, and that's not it's clearly the same college, Princeton and Barnett's. I don't know why they changed the name in Last Crusade, but anyway, that's there. We have the Arms of Gold, I believe. That comic is when Indy takes that job, and that doesn't happen until mid 1937. Um, so, yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff. The Crystal Skull thing is where this book gets a little too weird for my liking. There's like a weird time travel. First of all, the Crystal Skull thing is tacked on in this book. It's very. This book had a lot of drama where Max McCoy wrote a completely different book that I believe involved time travel, and Lucasfilm hated it. And Lucasfilm said no. So we ended up with this, but we get the conclusion of the Crystal Skull because Max McCoy wasn't going to write any more books after. There were not going to be any more Indiana Jones books for a long time. And officially, after this, there were only two novels, the Crystal Skull novelization and The Army of the Dead by Steve Perry. And those wouldn't come out till the late 2000s. It'd be a decade before we got anything else. Um, so things had to be wrapped up, so I get it. It's just really weird when he puts the skull back. It just some weird things happen. I won't explain it because I don't think I can. And he ends up talking to a scientist that I think is supposed to be Einstein about relativity. And that's how the book ends. And it's like, what? Very clearly, that was from another draft and they just got shoehorned in. Because it doesn't have to do with the main plot of the book. And it's very clearly he wanted to wrap up his Crystal Skull plot line, which I appreciate because it needed to be wrapped up. I argue it should have been wrapped up in Hollow Earth, but Hollow Earth was a little long in the tooth, so I get not doing that. Oh, the other continuity thing is Indy says that he was never married. And this is something, this was a point of tension that I did not bring up when I reviewed Indiana Jones and the Seven Veils. Lucasfilm was not thrilled that Rob McGregor gave Indy a wife. They were really unhappy with that. And so it's not surprising that the Lucasfilm directive would be no, he was never married. And there is a guidebook that's like Indiana Jones's journal, and there's like notes from someone reading it that says that all the stuff that involved Deidre Campbell has been ripped out of the journal, so it's clear that Indy doesn't ever want to talk about that. And honestly, what all does he remember from Seven Veils in particular? Because there was some weird nonsense in that book. But overall, I like all the characters in this book. I like the antagonists being the Japanese. I feel like they're very underutilized in the Indiana Jones stories. The only other one I can think of is Thunder in the Orient, which we all know I absolutely love that storyline from Dark Horse. What would I rank it? You give it a good 4.2 out of 5. It's worth your time to check out. I still think that Indiana Jones and the Philosopher's Stone and Indiana Jones and the Dinosaur Eggs are the better two Max McCoy books. But this one I had a whole lot of fun reading. I got through it pretty much in one sitting, which was nice. So it's the right length for these Max McCoy Indiana Jones books. Very fast read, unlike Hollow Earth, which was still fine. It just was a little long-winded. So, anyway, it feels weird. I am done with the Bantam Indiana Jones novels. All 12 of these. This is a milestone for me. So anyway, have a nice day.